Okay, I really hope I'm not the only one who got the date wrong. So, when we see Tomo and JUN reunite after their year break, I was honestly under the impression maybe he was ignoring her for a weekend, a week. I misread the entire situation. So when she's like, yo, why did you come back randomly? I'm like, oh, I kind of thought maybe she'd shrug it off, forget that it even happened, maybe that he was just busy. No, an entire year flew by because our lovable idiot JUN just completely misread the situation and almost ruined their friendship, and then we see how they got into the predicament that more or less the show kicked off with. This was a hilarious episode. This was a heartwarming episode. This was an episode that explained a lot, whether it was Mizuzu and JUN in a relationship, whether it's him thinking she was a boy for most of their friendship, or at least half of it anyway. This episode revealed a lot. Now, I do have a full live reaction available on my Patreon, so if you want to see that, head on over and consider supporting. Otherwise, let's talk about this one, because when you see no opening play, I'm thinking, okay, this is the confession episode. And while that maybe didn't happen, it was a confession in some way, because at the very least, after 10 episodes, some years gone by, our boy's finally admitting that he thinks our girl is cute, meaning we're getting closer and closer to maybe that confession happening, and these lovable idiots getting together. Now, I really appreciate that this kind of felt like the episode that tied everything together in the way that any confusion on maybe why the friend thing happened, why he's so oblivious, everything just kind of makes a lot more sense. And they even explain more about Mizuzu and JUN's relationship, which was something I didn't think I needed to see really, but I think it explains so much more and makes it even more compelling as to why the whole situation occurred. When it comes to JUN, I mean, I really think any girl who he was holding hands with at that moment probably would have made him flustered, because he is a teenage boy, all things considered. I mean, we do get a little flustered over the littlest things back then. For them getting together, both starting and ending, it was all him. And to see how, for that brief moment she was happy, but almost immediately gets knocked out, almost Tomorrow Joe style. I like how it really goes to show that for he separated himself for so long, eventually it was like, maybe I just need to get a girlfriend. Maybe if I move on, everything will get back to normal sort of a thing. And I like for her, it was just more of like an experiment, a situation that she thought might be okay, but after the numerous physical trips that they would take, she realized that it was game over, and obviously we knew how mad she was when she wanted to end it and he did it first. I love the fact though that there's so much of a misunderstanding at such an early stage, so up until they got to their new school and he finally went to school with her, right? The fact remains that he was under the impression she was a boy, so he's like, oh, why are you wearing a skirt? You trying to make a scene at the first day of school? And then completely was blindsided that, oh man, she was a girl this entire time. This maybe explains the father's comments. But the fact that there was that, it's a cliche, but I have to hand it to Tomo-chan, they used it so well. So the idea of a character partially hearing a conversation, getting the wrong idea, and it causes drama, you see that in almost any school series. So Tomo's talking with a couple of the girls in her class, and they're like, oh, are you dating JUN? And she's like, no, of course not. We're just friends sort of a thing. And then he storms off. The full conversation is, he doesn't even see me as a girl. Had he heard the full thing, it's possible they would have had a confession within months, honestly. Granted, they are both kind of clueless, so maybe even then that wouldn't have been enough. But all things considered, had he listened to that full thing, it's entirely possible episode 1 of Tomo-chan as a girl would have been a completely different experience. It could have been them in a relationship the entire time. Would it have been as good? No, but still, you can see how it could have changed. So the fact that that then triggers him to the point that he starts getting jealous of boys asking, oh, well, are you guys together? Because then he can't be with her sort of a thing, right? So to see him separate for a year, to then reveal why the relationship happened, to then reveal why they got so connected into that friend, like we'll be buddies forever. To have the DS handed back over to him, for him, it feels like it's over. And he's clueless as what can the next stage be that she doesn't leave me forever. Let's see. Friends? No, we can't do that anymore because I caught up. Well, let's say maybe boyfriend and girlfriend? Our boy's so close yet so far away from the obvious answer, and I honestly think if it's not for Mizuzu and Carol, these two idiots would never get together. If it wasn't for after, obviously she passes out because she was butt naked and obviously didn't dry herself before going to bed, so she got sick and passed out during the marathon, right? Of course, she wouldn't end up taking the girls' pass. She wants to compete on the same terrain as him, right? But the fact that he carries her and then Carol just passed out in the bed with her, Mizuzu freaking out, her VA change was just so adorable because she was so worried. if it wasn't for them, like, she wouldn't have had that piggyback to mom's car and mom being like, I know where this is going. I like how we're so close yet so far away from the obvious direction the show wants to go. But I have to hand it, this episode definitely like top 3. I think if you take this episode, Carol and her boyfriend's kind of plotline that we recently got, and honestly, I'm not sure what I'd pick for a third, but those episodes, really are like the highlight of this and really build that foundation into something memorable. And honestly, as familiar as this show appears to be on paper, Tomo-chan is a Girl is a really unique rom-com, all things considered. It's funny, it's violent, it's romantic, but man, does you, at the same time you beat your head against the wall because they miss such obvious clues. It's written in such a way that it's not infuriating. It's just like, you feel like Carol sometimes, you feel like Mizuzu sometimes, and you just want to shove them in a box and tape it shut because at that point, how else are they ever going to confess their feelings out loud again? I've seen many anime use the misunderstanding direction or a character being oblivious to the clear signs that someone likes another. But out of all the anime I've seen, I'm not gonna lie, I would easily put this in like a top 5 of animes that use misdirection, miscommunication, the how did they miss that, how is a character oblivious to another character's feelings. Tomo-chan is a Girl has honestly written it a few different times where I was like, I don't need any more. I think they did enough to make it feel fine that it's not a distraction. But after episode 10, seeing how everything has now come full circle of what caused the misunderstandings, what's kept misunderstandings, or at the very least, kept characters from admitting feelings out loud, JUN is an airhead, and Tomo is as well, but the fact that both of them just, if it wasn't for the group of friends, you know damn well they would be at college and still having this type of nonsense happen. But I like the fact that they're explaining things in a humorous or over-dramatic way that just it really works out well. Only JUN would separate for a year and casually come back and not expect a broken face. But seriously, Tomo-chan is a Girl is an absolute breath of fresh air in the rom-com genre, and I'm really excited to see where the last few episodes are going to take it because we're so close yet so far away, and now I understand why they skipped that opening because there was so much to tell and it didn't feel like a single moment of this episode misused its time. It crammed as much in as possible without making it feel bloated, and honestly, I like the show more leaving episode 10 than I ever did in any of the prior episodes. But hey, those are just my feelings. What is everyone thinking? Because there was a lot to unpack with this episode, both present day and flashback. We feel so close to getting to that confession. Do you think JUN's gonna do it sooner rather than later? Let me know what you're thinking down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel. And of course, as I mentioned, I do have that full live reaction available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you can also get a video shoutout. So today we have Matthew Soper, Luke F, and Chemist. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.